Managed investments, now you get all this, hey, here is an apartment in Salena, we are buying this property, somewhere in Gunther, you get all this offerings. We have a hotel, we have this commercial strip. How do you decide which one to invest in? Now I have 10 offerings in front of me, at least till last year. I used to get, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? So you have to look at it. First, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know who is doing it. You need to know what their experiences are. Then you need to know, even the most experienced one can go. In fact, sometimes the most riskiest ones are the ones who had one or two successes, and then they're going for a third one, missing the judgment on it, right? So the judgment is on you. There is no fixed thing. The history is good. No, I'm going to go for this. You understand who is doing it, then you make your judgment about, and it is not just on you. Take 3 or 4 inputs from people. When I buy, I still take input from people, from various. I take input from investors, I take input from somebody who don't know how he feels, I take input from people who do what I do before I make a judgment, right? So it's always good to take opinions and make a decision, because you have 100,000, you invest in one, and that becomes 300,000-400,000 in next 2 years, and you invest the same 100,000, you are at 50,000, right? You're gonna respect the guy who has 400,000 because you have 50,000. But just last year you were at the same place. Because money brings value. Now, if it is that important, if changes your dimension of looking at people, it changes success, it changes how you're gonna live in the future. Big things. Your decision when you have 10 things on the table, what you're making. That half an hour or an hour before you say, yes, I am in it, needs to be verified, re-verified, understood, learned. Don't take it easy. You may still go wrong, that's okay. But, a nuke bomb, war happens with nuclear power and stuff, right? Somebody nuked a country. You cannot control that. But within the means, you have to know that your investment, I put a rule of 70-30. Is this investment better than 70%? You cannot get the top investment. You always try for that. Sometimes you get it. But as long as your investment will perform better than 70 comparable investments, it's good to invest. If you know more, if you understand, if it's a 80 percentile investments, it's even great. So the idea is to be at least over 50 percentile. So that time spent is very important. And now, when we look at this managed investments, the first thing people come with is, can you look at it and tell me how much money he is taking? Is it a benefit? That's the wrong way. It's not, it's just one parameter. Yes, if somebody is, overcompensating themselves, you can go ask and say less. But if someone bought a property at 50% of the market value and wants to take 20% upfront, and it's 50% of it, it's okay, 10%, 15%. If somebody is buying market value and wanting to take 10%, it's not okay. The norm is 2-3%, right? For acquisition. So generally, any investment offering is acquisition and enablement, right? I get this property, $2 million, I bring 20 people with 100,000 each. Getting that property, researching it, selling it to people has work. A real estate agent will take 6% just to do the transaction. So 4 to 6% for a good property, somebody who has done it, is okay. Then there is operations and management. When the property is held, what kind of work is it? If a land is held and sold, maybe there is not much operations in it. But if a land is held, then you're improving it, you're going to the city, you're getting an engineer, you're doing the site plans, you're taking it to development. That's a 35 to 40% work to improve the value, because it adds another 40%. If you just kept the land versus you improved, if the land grew 50%, improving brings you another 50%, you share half of that with the person who's improving, it's okay. Right? But there is no set norm to it. But there is value in operations and management. And when people take a land, divide it into smaller pieces, say I buy a land and say I'll develop it into acre lots and I'll sell that acre lots. They'll add a disposition fee. Every sold lot I'll take 2-3% because there is work, right? You need to understand what kind of work is involved and what are these pieces. And if there is something extraordinary, don't run away if the project is good. Go back and say, can you change this? This looks. If you sell this 150 lots and make 4% out of each lot, even before profit sharing, you are making 350,000. Can you make it 250? No, leave it at that. Ask. Never hurts to ask. Profit sharing. When a project is done with its acquisition cost, management cost, generally all the managed offerings is the person who is leading GP, 1 or 2 or 3, whatever the team is. Their first job is to return the money that went into the asset, that went into operations. Once that money is returned, so there is a $2 million project, we got 4 million after the final closure. The 2 million, which includes land value and all these fees, goes back to investors. After that, typically there is 6 to 8% preferred. Let's say 3 years happen. So first 240,000 at 8% is investors' money. So at 6 to 8% preferred, investors get 240,000 first. And then remaining 1.76 is divided, generally it's 25 to 40, some who start new do 15. If it's a lot of work through the project, if you took a raw land to a finished product and you brought 300% return, that work can be valued as much as 40%. Typically I see 30s, 35s, I have seen 40s, I have seen 50s too. If somebody is really doing a lot of work and bringing a lot of value, the project is successful, but it is generally set up in a way, it's called a hurdle setup. And this profit sharing has many ways. People call it profit sharing. Sometimes, people feel somebody is taking money, so they call it promote or carry. It's the same thing, right? The name is little toned down. But hurdle based is, what, first, till I bring you 50% profit, 20% is mine. From 50 to 150%, I'll take 25%. If the project is 150 to 400%, I'll take 35%. If you get more than 400% return, we'll do 50-50 after that. And smart GPs, which actually is good for investors too, there is nothing wrong there. Through the transition times, value transition in different ways. If I know I was in Salina at 30,000 an acre on a multi-family land that can be zoned, which is worth right now 600,000 an acre, and I know that is happening, I can go in and ask money, saying that after I return you 300%, I'll take 50-50. And if the project brings 1200% return, then at 300 to 1200, there is 50-50. So how you define, how you design, how you bring is also your success and also investor success. So this is generally, and while all this is there, it has to be a successful project, right? Only then this makes sense. Any questions there?
Last point, the math